Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Life in the Jungle, season one, and we're on episode 8. And we titled this one "The One That Got Away." It was a tough one to be down there to watch because I coming into this even last week. I said I felt good about the game for some reason. I said I felt good. I said I felt like we could compete. I looked at the rather with the secondary being depleted, and I looked and said, this could be an opportunity for us to put the NFL on notice to kind of let us know that we're serious and that we are here to stay and here to be here and going to be here for the future. And you know, of course, just looking at the game, Devontae Adams, had a huge game. Obviously, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. Played like it on Sunday. Um, I'm not gonna get too deep into the thoughts because I have a lot to say regarding how I feel about that game. So I'm gonna let you start, Alex, and say where do you feel where the Bengals went wrong in this game, and the reason why we just couldn't pull it out.
It's really tough to pinpoint because I feel like, for all intents and purposes, from an energy standpoint, uh, competition, competing, actually, they did everything right. Now, coming down the stretch, obviously, we didn't finish. And you know me, when it comes to football, I'm more of an old school guy. So, I'm not Zach Taylor and that coaching staff who has to do a job today and further this week of getting them refocused and focusing on the positives to
Mhm.
kind of spin that and make sure morale is still up, because there are no moral victories in professional football. Let's just say that. But
Oh, absolutely.
if you do want to look at a silver lining, the Bengals took team to overtime that has appeared in two straight NFC championships the last two seasons, one game away from the Super Bowl, and against one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever, step on a football field in Aaron Rodgers. The frustrating part is, as you mentioned, had every opportunity to walk away from this game at home with a victory. And it's kind of one of those watershed moments where, even as Mason Crosby missed that field goal and Joe Burrow's coming on the field with just under 2 minutes left, you were kind of feeling. I'm sure you were actually sitting down there like, hey, this is manifest destiny. This is the new Bengals. We're getting ready to take control of this right here. Joey franchise.
Listen, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm at the stadium. I'm with my mom, with my son, with my girl, and I said we got the ball back. I said, "Oh, it's your time." I said, I said this game over." I said this game is over, and that's exactly what I told my mom when we got the ball back with 2 minutes left. But you can continue.
And for all intents and purposes, it should have been. Now, you know me, I'm big on historical nuggets and connecting, the dots as much as possible. There's
Right.
still a mindset that you have to have when you're also taking that jump from perennial laughing stock or coming up short to a real championship contender. Watched the Monday night game last night with Baltimore and Indianapolis.
Hmm.
And I know that Baltimore got down to the Colts 7 yard line, first and goal in overtime, and still went for the win as Lamar Jackson darted that pass in there to Hollywood Brown to close the show, not leaving it up for chance. I don't know if we've mentioned it before on here, but if you go back and you watch even in historical NFL films, the 1988 Super Bowl Bengals and 49ers, featuring former Bengals assistant, should have been head coach Bill Walsh on the other sideline. Sam White, who I love dearly, God rest his soul. Uh, when the Bengals were taking the field in the fourth quarter, he said, "We got to get down there and get a field goal." Hall of Fame, should be Hall of Fame or Bengals Ring of Honor kicker Jim Breach kicks a
Hmm.
field goal. Bengals go up 16-13.
Yep.
Difference. Joe Montana takes the field. Just under 2 minutes left, says, "We got to put the ball in the end zone." That's after he says, "Hey, there's John Candy." Totally unfazed by the situation, at, at hand. but there's just a difference between the teams and organizations and people that go for the gusto. I know we at times have been very diplomatic about our feelings, at least on the air, as it relates to Zach Taylor. I'm actually going to pass the ball back to you
Hmm.
because the decision making, in game decision making, and
Yes.
play calling has reared its head even when the Bengals have won this year. It's almost as if, again, they're winning in spite of Zach Taylor. And yesterday was not one of those times where they could pull it out. So, as you look at several key things, whether it's, even the 3rd and 5 handoff to Samaje Perine when Joe is clearly carving them up through the air, and several other decisions throughout the course of the game. What was your overall take? Did you think it was just, hey, it was a nip and tuck game, we came up short, or do you think, as most of us Bengals fans do, we left some stuff out there?
We left some stuff out there, and well, look, and let me just be clear. There was errors made by the players as well. Joe Burrow coming out there the third quarter, 1st and 10. We're driving. He throws that ball up and try to give Auden Tate a chance. Adrian Amos picks that off. That's not a throw that we need there. And I don't ever want to take away Joe, uh, you know, instincts and things like that and his escapability. But when it's a 1st and 10 and you got two downs, to convert a first down, you kind of want to be a little bit more conservative with the football there, and obviously the overtime pick. But with that being said, we still had chances to win the game, even after the overtime pick, even after the pick in the third quarter. My thing is this: is with the things that we left out there. It's 3rd and 5, right? And I'm listening to Brandon. I'm listening to Brandon Staley, the coach of the Chargers, talk about Justin Herbert. We want to put the ball in his hands as much as possible. Why is that not Zach Taylor's philosophy about Joe Burrow? Leave the ball in number nine's hands. I'm willing to live or die with number nine. I'm not no, and no offense to him, but I'm not living and dying handing the ball off to P round on 3rd and 5. I'm not doing it. I'm not living that way. Give the ball to Joe. Imagine, and the thing is, they was playing soft coverage all the way up the field. Tyler Boyd was getting them for 5 or 6. Boom, 5 or 6. So you telling me we couldn't get another little 4 or 5 yard completion? Tyler Boyd get some little yak and get the first down, and then you get a closer kick. We settled for a 57-yard field goal. And
And
it wasn't like it was going to be time expired. So he missed and gave Aaron Rodgers a chance at midfield. Who does that? Who does that? I
part
don't
of the
care.
problem, is they've become so reliant on, or maybe a little spoiled, that McPherson has, nailed a couple walk offs so early on. I
That
think,
could be
like
the
you
case.
said, they were very comfortable saying, "Hey, let's just put it in our rookie kicker's hand." When it's like, no, you got Joey Franchise out here that can certainly take control of this situation and do what he's paid and what we all want him to do, which is lead us to the promised land one day. And as you said, the coverage, Tyler Boyd, those underneath crossing routes and stuff, one on one. First of all, he's the best in the game at that anyway. The stats show
Exactly.
you that. Nobody has more receiving yards out of the slot than him. But it wasn't just that. The decision making, my man T. Higgins had a really big drop in
Huge drop.
overtime.
He catches
That,
that pass. That's a whole different game.
yeah, that could have made things a lot easier. I'll throw him a bone and say that maybe some of that could be attributed to a little rust and him, coming back. But it's still a concentration thing. They overcame Uno's, drop, and he did make up for that
Mhm.
with the touchdown grab, that he had. There were just too many opportunities when you have a Super Bowl caliber team like that at home and a winnable game for the Bengals to. I mean, because Mason Crosby, speaking of Green Bay, because it's not all on the Bengals, he probably couldn't have a worse game if you paid him
Yeah.
to.
Missed the extra point.
So I think, what was that, 4 kicks in all
Yeah,
that he
four
missed.
kicks.
The opportunities were there, and I was telling one of our supporters and mutual friends, Blake, that was asking me privately on Facebook earlier. about the game and my thoughts, and that's exactly what I told him. I said, man, in the NFL, it's so hard to win. Even these so-called winnable games against bad teams like Jacksonville, which you saw become more difficult than people would initially think. You have to close the door. I'm just telling you, this is one of those games we're going to look back, regardless of what happens the rest of the season, and the Bengals are going to regret because they played toe to toe with one of the better teams in the league. Should have came out with a victory. What you hope is that it's not a snowball effect because
Mhm.
maybe in previous years this is one of those watershed moments where it's like this may change the trajectory one way or another. I don't necessarily get the sense of that with this team, but it's still one. It's like, man, from an energy standpoint and morale, you had Aaron Rodgers on the ropes. You really wish you could have got the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on some of the comments here, Corey Brooker, appreciate you for tuning in. Dude, coach is scared, doesn't want the finger pointed at him. Uh, when you settle for a 57-yard field goal, it's almost like you're praying and you're trying to back your way into a victory. That's how I feel. Instead of snatching the game by the throat and actually going to take it. Um, we got to realize that Evan McPherson is still a rookie, and also that his game winners haven't been exactly 48 yarders, 50 yarders. They've been around the 38, 35-yard range. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy he made them because Fat Randy pulled a hammy or pulled a calf muscle supposedly and hooked one of those same kicks to the right. But um, I just think we're relying a little bit too much on a rookie kicker to bring us home when we have Joe Burrow. And
Mhm.
that's what we drafted him for, to be that guy. Let's see here. Go Bengals. Kenny is a normal watcher there. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Chris is in the house. Diggy, that's one of my guys. They like to poke at me here. Who they not going to the playoffs? um, about what, honestly, with the AFC, talking about playing, I'm just trying to turn you up. But no, with the AFC, man, I really feel like it's a playoff spot could be had if the Bengals take care of business, and that's winning the games they supposed to win. And what hurts is you got to steal a couple of these. If you want to consider yourself a playoff, team, this was one that you had to steal. I feel like, and it was very up for grabs. And because you come in and you look at the schedule, you instantly say, okay, Green Bay's probably a loss. And then when you get close, and you could be 4-1 and tied with the Ravens in the division, it does come back and sting a little bit. But I do really think this could be a playoff team, especially where I'm looking right now. The Chargers not look. I mean, excuse me, the Chiefs are not looking too hot. And I'm just looking at the AFC. This team like the Colts that you expected to be there now 1-4. So I do think we have a chance to get a fifth seed, sixth seed or something like that. Um, do you want to possibly touch on that? Probably
Yeah, I mean
touch on playoff.
everything's still in front of the Bengals, and don't want to make it doom and gloom either because this is not, something where it's like, gotta have it, but by the same token, with the expectations where we had it, where we were looking at them best case scenario, maybe treading water at a 9-8. I know my initial prediction was maybe 7-10. And we threw that disclaimer out there, unless you steal a couple of these games,
Yep.
here and there, which they had an opportunity from a talent standpoint. They can compete with a lot of teams. And that's, what was proven even on Sunday. Again, don't want to go the moral victory route, but that is a very good football team that the Bengals played with and more than handled their own and should have won the game. So when you look back on it, I think games like this are going to separate whether they do or don't make the playoffs, and they don't have too many more room for, too many more mulligans. But it's certainly something where they can look in the mirror and say, hey, man, we played against one of the best, and we had every opportunity to maximize and come out with a victory, and we didn't. So you hope going into a game like this Sunday against Detroit, they come out, maybe they're a little pissed off, focused, ready to go, and it stops them from being lackadaisical, and we start another streak.
Yep, absolutely. And to touch on more, this was a must win if you want to be considered a power. This would have been a big statement win, very scary play calling. If you play not to lose, you will lose. I agree with that statement. Would have loved to see Zach yell onto the field and ask Joy if he wanted to go for it like Harbaugh did to Lamar. Guaranteed we'll go for it.
That
Yeah, I
takes
mean
gut.
it's the personality of your coach, and that's another thing there. And I will touch on it after I get to these comments. I felt he was very conservative. This is from Keelan. I felt he was very conservative. Man, Joy was rolling and relying on the rookie kicker. Excuse me. I definitely think their heads will stay on. They are a lot better. Yeah, and I agree. The Bengals are a lot better. It's just a tough loss to actually, go through. But the Bears loss was tough too because that's one they should have had. They turned around next week, went to Pittsburgh, took care of business. So I'm hoping this is where they get focused, get right, and then we go to Detroit and take care of business. Starting right out the gate. But another thing about Zach Taylor is once again identity. What are we? I stated this earlier in Life in the Jungle, one of the first few episodes. What are we? So week one, you go for 4th and 1 on your own 30. You don't get it. You don't get it. You tell Jesse Bates, who was pissed after giving up a touchdown because he only got to go because he got to try to protect 25 yards. He's pissed. So you tell Jesse Bates walking off the field, this what type of team we're gonna be. We're gonna be aggressive and we're gonna try to grab the game by the throat. And I told you, I respect that. That's fine if you're going to play like that. But be consistent with it. So now you turn around on this game, it was plenty of chances. And it's not just the fourth quarter and OT. It was 3 times, or I'll say 2 times in the middle of the game where we're on their 40 and we're punting. You're not beating Aaron Rodgers punting the football. Period. So it doesn't matter if you bury him at his own 10 or he takes over with these after maybe a missed kick or a failed fourth down conversion. You have to go for those situations. 4th and 3 from your own from their 40. You can't punt the ball. This is not 1996. You can't punt the ball. These quarterbacks are too good. You have to score points. And it's just like they tried to bury Aaron Rodgers down there on the drive, they drove 80 plus yards for a touchdown. It doesn't matter where you put Aaron Rodgers. So when you face the upper echelon quarterbacks and these better teams, and you use 4th and 2, 4th and 3 from the opponent's 40, you got to go for it. So what you said to Jesse Bates in week one didn't apply apparently this past week with the Packers. You can't
It's
coach scared.
it's one of my main criticisms for Zach Taylor, like you said, the lack of identity on either side of the ball or whatever we're going to hang our hat on going forward. When we win, it's usually because the guys we have on the field step up and they made the plays and they were the better, actual football team. And even in some instances, that still hasn't been enough, like you said, the Chicago game or even with those superstars on the other side of the field, I still feel like the Bengals were the better team on Sunday and had an opportunity to win that game. But like you said, from a coaching philosophy standpoint, there's nothing consistent about his approach. As you said, week one, you're in your own territory on the 30-yard line and you decide to go for it. Plenty of situations in this game that were more safe and conventional situations where you do go for it on a fourth down. Team clearly has momentum and rolling, and you don't. So it honestly sends mixed messages, and that's where it opens up the door for some of the questioning on his play calling. Is he the right guy for the job? Does he fully have a grasp of things and know what's going on? And like I said, the razor thin margin of error that separates teams that go to the playoffs and don't is like this. It's not big, and it comes down to those in-game decisions, those quick moments. Like the guy said, one of our viewers, where Harbaugh has confidence in his team, a team that has experienced some success, went to the playoffs back-to-back years. He's like, "Hey, Lamar, we going for this?" Lamar's like, "Let's go." It's not even something that has to be thought about. I think everything that we're doing is still we're thinking about it. We're kind of trying to find our way and establish identity. And are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? The only thing that is for sure right now is Sweet Lou still has a great defensive game plan going this year, and Joey B and Uno have a connection going back to their LSU days that can't be disputed. Other than that, we're still trying to figure a lot out. I want to give a shout out to guy Joe Mixon, who I know was not 100%. I thought had a really gutsy game out there, running the football. Credible cutback move on his touchdown in the second half, leaving Packers defenders in the dirt. There was a lot to like from guys too, so I don't want to make the whole tone a Debbie Downer thing, but
Absolutely.
ultimately Zach Taylor has been in the headlines the last couple days from national to local media, and rightfully so. It's really a situation where you're really just starting to wonder, like, man, how long can they play with fire? I'm speaking of the Bengals, team, and keep overcoming some of his mismanagement in in-game situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know it's bad when the national pundits come out and say something. And I posted something earlier regarding my gripe with Zach Taylor, where someone said, "Oh man, it's not all Zach Taylor. The players got to execute too." And I say, I get that. I trust me, I do. The players have to do their job, but it's also the coach's job to put the players in the position so they can execute.
Yeah,
So, so if I'm in the stands, right, and if I can call out a whole series of plays, and when I coached even little league, I was the offensive guy. So if I can sit down and I'm calling plays, what do you think the NFL defensive coordinator can do? If I know the tendencies of the football team, I'm quite sure the guy that studied probably 24 hours of worth of film throughout the week can figure it out. So anytime we're under center, 80% of the time we run the football under center. 60% of the time it's the wide zone. Now, we just don't have any creativity in the run game. We don't counter. We don't pull guards. Like we don't do any of that stuff.
it's
And
very it's very telegraphed, as you were saying. Not
yes.
not 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 to cut you off, but when we saw that graphic that you had sent earlier
Mhm,
from Pro Football Focus and that outside zone handoff, like you said, we see that as fans. I
mhm.
can only imagine defensive NFL defensive coordinators, laughing at, number one, they're taking the ball out of Joey's hands, and even when they are lining up to run, I mean, Joe Mixon's one of the best backs in the league. We know that.
Mhm.
But if you know what's coming, it still makes it hard to execute in those situations. I understand
Exactly.
this is the new age. Not every team even has an active fullback on the roster, but even the formations that we line up in, you can tell what's coming. We're gonna
Yeah.
motion the tight end over to it. It doesn't even matter if it's the short side of the field or wide side of the field. That's where they're going,
Yep.
whether it's Drew Sample or CJ Uzama, and it's that outside zone, handoff to Joe Mixon, and usually it's up to him to make a cut or make something spectacular happen, at that point because it's so telegraphed.
Yep. Absolutely. Text some of these comments here. We got a lot of people watching tonight. We appreciate y'all. No identity because Taylor don't know who he is himself.
Mm,
That's a good comment. I think he might have some identity crisis. Not sure what he wants to be. He's a first time head coach at the end of the day. So that could be the case. Not a P Ryan fan, but I thought he ran tough too. P Ryan did a good job. P Ryan caught the ball out of the backfield. P Ryan did a good job outside of pass protection. That's where P Ryan has gave some, he gives effort in the run game. He does, he runs for tough yardage. I'm not definitely not disputing that. I thought he played well overall. But however, his pass protection it leaves a lot to be desired. I know it was one against Preston Smith in the first. I want to say first quarter. It was kind of. I don't know if it was. I don't want to say he gave bad effort, but it was just one of those like, let me put my shoulder into him type of thing. And you can't. That's not the way you're gonna pick up. In pass pro. Uh, and that's just it's not ideal. Oh, we got a YouTube visitor here, Kane. Why was Joe Mixon so excited about Frank's run game if it's so basic?
I,
Well,
could I have that one?
you can have that. Well, you go ahead.
He was excited about Frank Pollock, Bengals offensive line coach, returning because of the coaching and technique that Frank Pollock brought from the Dallas Cowboys when he came here, and at the time when Billy Price was drafted and some other Bengals holdovers, you could tell the difference that he made from Paul Alexander, our previous offensive line coach, who did a good job for the majority of his tenure, but when it was over and he was missing on guys like Cedric Abwegi and stuff, you could tell. And when Pollock came aboard, the offensive line actually had an identity, still punching people in the mouth, which allowed Joe Mixon to become the AFC rushing champ, leading the AFC in rushing that year. So that alone allowed Joe Mixon to probably be happy and see some, potential daylight at the end of the tunnel and say, hey, man, we got a guy in here that's at least going to coach him up, get the right technique going, and X's and O's wise, give me an opportunity to get back to some of the things I was doing. Now, that was previously done under Marvin Lewis and Bill Lazor, that offensive staff. He can do all the technique he wants, but this is still Zach Taylor's baby and 11 personnel, which he really does not deviate from. That is his system. That's what he's going to run. So the guys can be coached up front, but it's still Zach Taylor's play design and overall scheme that the running game was affected by also. So it's not really on Frank Pollard.
Yeah, and even coming into this game, he's hurt, so I'm quite sure he's probably not up there anymore. But he was third in rushing coming into this game, Joe Mixon. So I honestly the zone block, the zone wide zone scheme that Frank, teaches and they like to do because he's the running game coordinator as well. Him and Bill Callahan, they do a good job. Well, what it gives Mixon does, it gives Mixon more room to work. It allows him to do his like he loves to cut back, into a hole, and that's what the wide zone allows him to do instead of just running straight forward. It kind of gets him on the edge, and then he's able to cut back and use his vision that he's very good at. So, I think the run game, despite the suspect offensive line play, I think the run game has not been horrible as it has been in years past, where we Mixon couldn't get 20 yards on the ground. So with him averaging 75, 80 yards a game, uh, that's solid. That's on the pace for where you're talking about maybe 12 to 1,300 yards. So we can't really complain there about overall about the run game. Anthony Scott says here they need to run plays with same formation, but run several runs and passes out of it. Also, Uzama had best game of his career. Then there's nowhere to be found next game, but Samples playing. I didn't understand that. We ran the same play that Uzama scored on the first possession of the third quarter against Jacksonville. The play action boot. We ran it to Sample. He trips and fall over his feet. I just you know, and like I said, not here to diss players or anything like that. But it's like Drew Sample doesn't give us the versatility that CJ Uzama does. So why are we running that play for Drew Sample? It's just like later on we end up scoring on the drive. You know, nice play design. Throw it to Sample over the middle, goes right through his hands. It's like that might have been the pick is just bad. The Drew Sample pick was just bad. There's no other way to really describe it.
Thank you for
Especially getting
coming out and saying that because, again, like you
it's just
said,
bad. It's
we're
bad.
not here to single people out. Even Zach Taylor to a certain degree, because we do give him credit when he deserves it, and particularly
Hmm.
this year, sticking with the run game a lot more in situations than he has, which has allowed the offense to be a little bit more balanced. But speaking of Drew Sample, um, that was Zach Taylor's first second round pick of his regime. And I'm telling you right now, you spend a high pick on a tight end. He has not been what the Bengals were hoping, not just, in the blocking game, which is supposedly what he specialized in coming out the University of Washington. But as you saw, even in the passing game, he's just not real athletic, sure footed, and when you have somebody like CJ Uzama, who has been here a number of years, big time veteran, having a great year coming back off of, an Achilles last year, you would like to see him more involved. I don't know if that was just a strategic thing, that Zach Taylor was doing, but there was certainly nothing game plan wise or film wise, if you look back at the success that Uzama's been having that dictated why you saw such a heavy dose of Drew Sample yesterday or
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah, yeah. It made no sense to me. I was baffled. I was confused. Um, but like I said, it wasn't all doom and gloom. We had some good plays. I thought overall, even though Devontae Adams had 200 yards catching, I thought Awuzie did pretty well on him individually. What the Packers do a good job of, especially if you're not going to have a corner shadow Devontae Adams, they do a great job of moving him around, slot, motion. They're going to make sure they get the matchup that they want. And a lot of times that they did, whether it was in zone coverage, whether however they got it lined up, and they had Devontae Adams maybe on Hill on certain plays, you know they do a great job of moving him around, man. And I was just watching kind of like that Green Bay Packer offense work, and obviously, Aaron Rodgers is special, so that just puts a little icing on it. But their creativity, was it was what stood out to me. They attacked the weaknesses. First, so the first quarter was like, okay, you want to be on Devontae? We just gonna hit these backs. We gonna hit these tight ends all the way up the field. And then we like, okay, we got to guard the backs now. And then it was Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams. But overall, I thought Awuzie did well. I think I read something where he allowed 6 catches for 88 yards and he got an interception. So if somehow, some way, man, I don't know. Awuzie is really playing at a high level right now, as far as the cornerback position, and I think moving forward, we may have to find a way, especially when we're gonna play the Devontae Adams of the world, to leave our best corner on him, on that particular receiver, because I don't care how good a receiver is, 200 yards is just way too much.
It is, but also, and I saw some people who I won't mention by name poking fun about Devontae Adams may have before the game even said he was going to have a big game or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't really get too down on stuff like that because I've been watching a lot of film and game planning wise going
hmm
forward on Devontae Adams, and will continue to do so. But going back over the past 2 or 3 seasons, and I'm almost at the point where I'm ready to declare him probably the best receiver in the league. I know there's a lot of people that
hmm
would say it's a DeAndre Hopkins or have somebody else out there, but for me, I like Devontae Adams being the best overall wide receiver, and like you said, not just because of his size and his versatility, but even the way Matt LaFleur uses him, which is something that maybe we could look at and do with the Jamar Chase as well, or even the T. Higgins. He's not just in one spot when they line up. He's in the
No.
slot, he's on the outside, he's playing X, he's playing Z, and it gives you so many more opportunities because you never know where he's going to line up. And like you said, unless you have a DB that's just like, hey, I'm on him the entire game, they're going to get the matchup that they want to get eventually by
Yep.
doing that and moving him around. And they did a great job of that. I still think, yes, it was a lot of yards, but again, overall, you held Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to 25 points.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. We bend, but we didn't break. We made them settle for field goals. That kept us in this game. Just talk about receivers wise. He said I go D Hops, Diggs, and Adams. Look, man, Adams got the credentials. Adams got the body of work. Uh, I think it's about time we got to stop putting the handcuffs on Adams here. I think from what I saw Sunday, far as his release off the line of scrimmage, speed, just a total package underneath, over top, whatever you want, he got it for you. Adams, Adams is probably right now the best receiver in the league.
Well, he mentioned D Hop out there in Arizona, and I just got to throw another bone to a long time Bengals player. There was another receiver in Arizona that was supposed to be finished and washed up that's having quite a good year out there. Is not even the number one primary option in Adriel Jeremiah Green. So I wish him much success unless they play the Cincinnati Bengals. But I've watched a lot of Hopkins tape, even going back to Houston. Don't get me wrong, he's a dog.
Yeah, he's
I
animal.
still put him in that category of guys that I feel like are benefiting from this new era where it's kind of basketball on grass. They use their size more so than their ability as an actual wide receiver and route running and so forth. I know DeAndre Hopkins would disagree himself because he's always believed that he's the best wide receiver in the league. But for me, and I'm not just saying it because of this past game. Again, I came into this game really kind of feeling. I just never came out publicly said it like Devontae Adams might be the best receiver in the league. So he didn't do anything to disprove that on Sunday.
Nah, he definitely didn't there. So defense is still playing. Anthony Scott here. Appreciate you. Defense is playing well. Offense need to step it up. Who thought we would be saying that? Hey, but when stuff started coming out in camp, how defense was just kind of wrecking. I was like, hold up, like first cause of concern. Okay, Joey B's rushed back. He's not fully healthy. He's scared of that knee. Um, but it's carried over. Lou got his guys. They're playing fast. They're playing confident. They're playing sure of themselves, and it's showing on the field. So, honestly, it's been since preseason that the defense was ahead of the offense, and it's still. And honestly, right now, it still is. Corey Brooker says Keenan Allen, if he plays somewhere else besides the Chargers, he's right up there in that conversation. I mean, maybe I like Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen a lot.
He's been
Uh,
playing for a
go
long
ahead.
time,
Yeah,
and Keenan Allen. So you kind of not forget about guys like that, but you're considering age and stuff in there as well, and also health. Because every time I turn around, Keenan Allen's getting hurt out
yeah.
there with the Chargers. But certainly a good All Pro wide receiver that's been doing it for a long time. We got Christopher says, "Does Jordan Evans getting hurt open the gate for Darius Hodge?"
Now, Jordan Evans is a lot more of a outside lineman. He doesn't play edge. I don't know what Hodge has to do to get a few more snaps. I'm not saying giving 30 snaps a game, but I don't understand why Hodge can't get anywhere 10 to 12 snaps a game. I know they like I guess Wyatt Ray, who's been playing. But I think we need a little bit more spark from the pass rush. Hendrickson obviously is giving us what we want. 5 games, 4.5 sacks. He's on the pace for about a 15, 16 sack season. So if you look at Trey Hendrickson, we brought him here. He's not just a product of the Saints. He's an elite pass rusher in this league. Happy to have him. Look like we signed the right guy. And I'll be here to say I was wrong about that. I was a very big Carl Lawson fan, and I was very disappointed when we let him walk. But hey, that's another one of the pieces where Lou said, I need a particular type guy. And yeah, yes, and on Sunday, what really stuck out to me is Aaron Rodgers was looking for a wheel route against Aaron Jones. With Aaron Jones, Trey Hendrickson covered that wheel route. He
Saw
covered
that.
that wheel route.
Saw
That's his extreme athleticism, and it takes want to. So I think that's a great a signing there that we had with as far as Trey Henderson. But we need some more edge help. I would like Darius Hodge to get more snaps because he flashed. I know it was preseason. I know it's against backups. But when a guy flashes like that, you kind of want to see what he can do against some first stringers. Can he get some hurries? Can he get some pressures? Let's see what he got. Because with pass rush, I felt like Aaron had too much time overall in that game, and you cannot let Aaron go through one progression, two progression, three, and then back to one. It's too much.
and like you said, whether it's against first or second team, that's a trait getting to the passer that you
Hmm.
can kind of see that flashes. And if a guy's naturally good at that, you really do want to give him an opportunity to at least see if he can do that against elite competition. I think the defensive line has been playing so good for the Bengals this year, be it B.J. Hill, Larry Ogunjobi, Hendrickson, obviously up front. DJ Reader has been doing his job as the nose
Yeah,
guard on first and second down, that they have maybe kind of been lulled to sleep and looking at how we don't necessarily have great edge production outside of Hendrickson. It hasn't been needed, but certainly now with Evans going down, it does make your linebacker room a little bit lighter, even though they play different, positions. But certainly it's something that you have to entertain at this point as bodies get a little thin.
yep, absolutely. We got here before we touch on the Lions here. We got Logan Wilson coming into his own. Yeah, Logan Wilson is a monster, being the quarterback of the defense. Like I said, he always got his helmet around the ball. Uh, I can pencil him right now, as far as just making plays, the best linebacker we had since. perfect. Uh, I think overall, I think so. So, because we've had some heavy misses at the linebacker position over the years, so it's feel good to have somebody in the middle of that defense that can anchor us.
Something that before we forget and move on to the Lions, I can't let you off the hook. We've had a lot of conversations about it off the record. It's
Uh
been
huh.
brought up by other people today.
Yeah.
Um, Concerns up front, regardless of whether it's
Hmm.
guard, center, or you still think that one of the tackles we have may or may not be the answer. Concern level right now should still be high for any Bengals fan. Can't really say it any other type of way, but QB1 is still getting his ass kicked on most Sundays.
Yes, he is. Yes, yes. He's
This
getting his
Sunday,
tail kicked.
he had to go to the hospital for a possible throat contusion. There was one play in particular that I think we all remember where, Joey kind of put himself at risk on Sunday where he took off and acted like he was going to go head to head with a linebacker and got flipped a little bit and stayed down, for a while. But listen, for everybody that still wants to go back, because I even got messages on Sunday from some of our followers or my direct followers and
Mhm.
friends. Hey man, I don't care what you say. I still think Chase is the right pick. And I said, look, man, we're not going to do this. Okay. Jamar Chase is doing exactly what the Bengals hoped and wanted and expected him to do with the 5th overall pick. There's no doubt. Even you said it. Hey man, that explosion, that deep ball has been added to our offense. It did alleviate that. Yes, it did. But I still don't want to see Joe Burrow end up being like Andrew Luck or David Carr and ran out of this league before he is supposed to be or not maximizing his potential because he's still getting hammered out there. So, I mean, let's throw a number on it. Let's try to get it. Your concern level 1 to 10 about the protection that Joe Burrow is receiving. If you had to put a number on
It's at it's about an 8. It's about I'll say 7.5, 8. And the reason why is because we can say all we want to. Jackson Carmen hasn't been playing well. He's your second round pick. And simply, and like I said, I'm not I don't go by the PFF Bible. So please do not,
it.
quote me on that because I'm a big eye test person too. That matters. But Jackson Carmen is getting beat a lot. He allowed 6 pressures Sunday. And honestly, in the run game, if he doesn't ball you, he honestly gets beat in the run game sometimes. He right now he's graded the worst right guard in the league out of all the right guards that's played.
Ouch.
So, but you know what? I'm excited. We might get to see a Deontay Smith sighting at right guard. Unfortunately, hopefully Samaje Perine and Jackson Carmen come back healthy. COVID protocols. Hope everything is good there. But Deontay Smith, we could argue, had the best camp, far as out of him, Jackson Carmen, and any other rookie linemen that we brought in, Trey Hill. Deontay Smith flashed out. You could put him at tackle, you could put him at guard, you could put him at either tackle, either guard. His versatility stood out to me. He has the measurables, he has the talent, and you was even stating that hey, if he doesn't opt out, this could be that could have been an easier second round pick if he doesn't opt out. So I am excited to see if Jackson Carmen can go. Will Deontay Smith be an upgrade? Because let's be honest, he outplayed him in camp. He outplayed him in preseason. So I don't understand. And this is a good point right here. And it all ties in. How do you go from third string in camp to starting at guard within a matter of 3 weeks?
Well, that first comment that he made, or first statement, with politics, question mark, question mark, question mark. Of course, that's NFL politics at its best because if you have a first or second round pick, teams like it or not are going to get that guy every opportunity possible to flash and pan out because they need them to. Number one, set your football team back when
Yep.
first and second round picks don't. But yeah, and it sucks because sometimes you have a guy like Deontay Smith who I highlighted when we picked him like, hey, this might be the most underrated draft pick that we have. And I need to follow up on that because he started following me on IG personally on my Factual Opinions page as well as my personal page, and he liked that. But he was certainly a guy that I saw from the arm length, the 35 inches that most teams covet offensive linemen having, particularly if you're going to play offensive tackle in this league. And if you watch his tape going back to East Carolina and even in the Senior Bowl, dude was always kicking some major butt up front.
Mhm.
So, maybe it's a blessing in disguise where you might get to see him thrusted into a situation now where we have to use him. I'm still not big on putting guys in positions other than their natural position. If you have to do it, fine. There's certain guys like, Bengals legend Andrew Whitworth who, did it, towards the end of his career. He kicked inside to guard in different situations to shore that up. Still, he played guard in other positions at LSU, so it's not that much of a, transition. I just think you're really gambling with guys like Jackson Carman or the other guy in this equation that's always debated that the Bengals did not take in Panay Sewell. You're just playing with fire when you're asking guys to play a different position that they've never played or is not conducive to their skill set on whether they're going to turn out. Deontay Smith might be a little bit different because he did play it in the preseason a little well.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was very versatile at East Carolina as well. So it's not going to be completely brand new to him. So it'll definitely be interesting here. Like I said before we go to the Lions, we got one more. Anthony Scott. Offensive line free agency needs to be priority number one. They need to sign at least 2 to 3 top free agent linemen this offseason. Can't depend on unproven guys or waste another year. Like I said, I thought Riley Reef was a good signing. We just have to shore up the inside. And as much as I love Trey Hopkins, I don't know how much longer you can have him as your center. Uh, you
And the
know,
reason I'm laughing to clarify that is I agree with that comment, from our follower. Not that I thought that there was anything wrong with that. Cam knows why I'm laughing because that's something that I've said to him many a times off the record, even before we got into this season. It doesn't look good right now, but you use somebody like Kansas City, for example, that made it all the way to the Super Bowl, all of a sudden had an offensive line problem and got exposed in that game versus Tampa Bay. What do? They go out and they get a Joe Thuney from up the road in Kettering, all pro guard from the Patriots, who many people tabbed as somebody the Bengals should have or probably, looked at least in free agency. But we know traditionally the Bengals don't spend a lot of money on the guard position. That and unfortunately safety position, which makes you worry about whether our guy Jesse Bates is going to be back, next year is something that they don't, typically prioritize. So there was even a Kevin Zeitler, rumbling him coming back possibly.
and he
Uh,
was worth man. I think he signed for 7 million. Like, come on, man. Like seriously, like that's not a break the bank type of signing. You could have got a Kevin Zeitler out here, plug him at right guard. You sign Reef for about 5, maybe put him at right tackle. This line looks considerably better if we just add a guard. Cause Spain's doing fine. You know he had a bad
what
hole.
a rough game on Sunday, but I do like Quentin
But I
Spain.
like Quentin Spain. If
Yeah,
we just
and what
add a
he and what he
guard,
got.
we need another
Yeah.
right guard to help Hopkins out, especially while he gets this knee going.
Well, I've
But I'm
said that Hopkins is not a center. I never really believed that he was a center. I thought he was a great guard, and he was one that, as you said in our previous regime, where we did have guards that actually pulled in the running game, he was the type of guy that could do that because he's lighter and small enough, to do so. But I certainly agree with the comment. I would hope that the Bengals, in the draft or free agency, really get it across this year, especially if Joe is able to both Joes actually make it across the finish line this year, that is still what is probably going to separate us from being just an average or good team into an actual contender is upgrading that offensive line finally.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said, "Did y'all talk about how y'all let one receiver beat y'all the whole game?" Yeah, you late, Jay. We talked about Devontae Adams. We talked about how special he was. But look, man, even with Devontae catching for 20 yards, we still should have won that game. Like It was almost like, okay, Devontae's gonna get his. We gonna get inside the red. If they get inside the red zone, we clamp up. We hold them to three, and that's what was happening. They was getting three, regardless of how many yards he got. They were getting three majority of the time. We just couldn't punch it in. We couldn't take advantage of their miscues. Anytime you get an interception off Aaron Rodgers and your cornerback running to the 50, you got to get some type of points off of that. Whether it's even 3 or 7, we got zero. That stings. You cannot when Aaron gives you the ball because it's so rare. You have to score. You have to score off of that. And it
You know,
is
it's
what it
not
is.
like it's still not like we let Emmanuel Sanders have a career, day against us or somebody like that who might be a second or third tier wide receiver. No disrespect to him because he's played in the league for a very long time also.
Hmm.
But yeah, we spoke on it and it's okay that your guy had a big game in Devontae Adams, but you don't want to give up that much yardage. But again, I've seen him torch many defenses and seen Jalen Ramsey follow him and shadow him around the field and look like a very average corner, versus him at best. Kind of embarrassed him last year in the playoffs, so it's nothing to hang your hat on, really, or your head down when Devontae Adams has a decent game against you.
Yes, absolutely. But you know what? It happened. We're 3-2, and a lot of national pundits gave us more respect for barely losing to Green Bay than we have when we was winning. Winning games. You look
Right?
at the power rankings. I think NBC got us 10th. ESPN got us 13th all of a sudden. So, hey, I guess people are starting to see. We're not going to fold. We're not going to be these same old Bengals. But we're on to Detroit. We're facing an 0-5 ball club. And now I know a lot of people say, "Oh, y'all should smack the Lions." That's casual fan talk. That's casual sports talk. Like you said, it's hard to win games in the NFL. Each week presents its own set of challenges. Now, if you look at the paper, we have more talent on offense. We have more talent on defense. It's not. Let's just be honest. But I will say this: Dan Campbell and David Culley with the Texans are really having these guys play hard.
They are.
They're not getting smacked in these games. Uh, the Texans really almost had a game against the Patriots this past weekend. They was leading the whole game. You look at the Lions. They lost 19-17 to the Vikings, to a team that we beat by three in overtime. So I look at those things, and you say, Dan Campbell was in tears at the press conference because he wants his group to win so bad.
And he sees
Um,
how hard his team is playing.
they
And
play
like you
hard.
said, in a number of scenarios, came up just short. Team that's leading our division right now, are tied for the lead, the Baltimore Ravens. It
It
took
took a
an
66.
NFL record, what was it,
Yeah.
66-yard field goal?
To beat them.
And that ball couldn't have bounced any more crazy than it did to give the Ravens a victory. And that's so the Detroit Lions have been right there. They're still playing at home. It's an easy game for the Bengals to possibly overlook. I don't think this group will. Let me say that and knock on wood. I don't think they will overlook Detroit, and I think they'll be pissed off about not finishing against Green Bay. But it's certainly something that you have to take serious. You're going on the road. Um, could be a catalyst again to start another streak going forward. But I really don't think there's anything as a given in the NFL. I really don't.
Uh,
Cam's background is more so in hoop. I know in the NBA there's a lot of gimmies out there, in my opinion,
yeah, yeah,
on a nightly basis, but not so much in football because you still got to strap it up and go out there.
yeah. It's no gimmies. Anything can happen. What I'm looking forward to, just as far as the Detroit game, can we start off fast for once? Can we score 27 to 30 points for once? I mean, in 4 quarters. I don't want it to take overtime. All this. I'm talking 4 quarters. Can you give me 27 to 30 points? This is a team, and like I said, I understand they're playing hard, but this is a team that is decimated. this is a team like far as on deep or far as us on defense should be able to take care of business. On the offense as far as the defensive line, we should be able to control the line of scrimmage. They have Frank Ragnow is out for the season. He's a Pro Bowl level center. And honestly, Trey Hendrickson lining up with Panay Sewell. I want Hendrickson to take advantage of that matchup. Last week, Everson Griffin had 2 sacks, and had several pressures. So I do, and this is no knock on Panay Sewell. He has had good games. You know what I mean? Like he'll be fine. But I do want to see Trey Henderson take advantage of that matchup because I believe they gonna move Panay back to right. Decker comes back, so I think they're gonna plant Decker right there. And they gonna move Panay to right. So him going to right tackle where he had major struggles, I need to see some pass rush.
Yeah, Bengals can definitely take advantage of that matchup and should because again, if he's going back to right, which I think is a mistake for Detroit, but hey, we're Bengals guys. It's a Bengal podcast. Let them do what they do. He's going to go back to a position. Speaking of Panay Sewell, where he's thinking instead of just reacting and playing, and Pro Bowl caliber, defensive end, or at least playing like so right now. And Hendrickson can definitely take advantage of that. It is a matchup that I'm going to be watching closely either way, and we'll have a lot of back and forth and analysis of that both on and off life in the jungle
Yeah,
about Panay Sewell. But it's a game that I would like to see the Bengals start fast as well. Also, and if it can be, I would like to see enough space out there where this is not a nail biter into the fourth quarter, and
yeah,
maybe you get some guys a little bit extra rest and just that confidence of, hey, we're back on all cylinders. Let's go. It is a great segue and a way to get your legs back under you for the following game. Was going to be a huge one against the Baltimore Ravens.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And let's see, we got Jay Coop says spread it out, air it out. It should be way too easy for y'all. And y'all defense earning their money this year. Big ups. That's all I'm getting. All the credit I'm giving y'all. But no, the defense have earned their money, man. And we spent a lot of money on it. Let's see here. We also got Christopher Taylor. Does Trey Hendrickson have Justin Smith ability? Look, Trey Hendrickson is talented. He's very talented. I didn't know what we were getting exactly in Trey Hendrickson because I thought he was a product of from the double teams that Cam Jordan will receive, and and the other defensive linemen that they have, as far as rankings they had up front. But Trey Hendrickson is the real deal. Trey Henderson is the real deal. Justin Smith is a borderline Hall of Famer, though. When we're talking about Justin Smith, we just used him wrong here. We used him as primarily as an edge rusher, and Justin Smith, San Francisco moved him inside to the excuse me, the three technique, and the 3-4, and he wrecked shop there.
Well, that's where
So
you see the similarities, though, in Hendrickson and
yeah.
Smith because this is a more 3-4 oriented defense now.
Mhm.
Uh, Definitely both workaholic guys, more so than just straight natural ability, but have a nose for the football, get in there, effort all time high, always. So you can see a little bit of that, but I'm also always hesitant when we throw Hall of Fame caliber guys out there to make that comparison. But there's certainly some traits there that you would like going forward. I just think with the offense that we have and the weapons, especially in the receiving game, T. Higgins' second game back, this will be, Tyler Boyd has gotten into a rhythm. Uno is being Uno, right now. There's some things to take advantage of in that Detroit secondary. They are without their first round pick from last year, who was expected to make a big jump
Okuda.
at the corner position. I won't harp on where he went to school at in
Go
Jeff.
ahead. I was waiting for he went to the. I was waiting. I was waiting for it. I was
Yeah,
waiting
he
for it.
did go to the, but Jeffrey Okuda is out for the entire year. So there's some matchups in that secondary. I would like to see them just take control from the beginning of the game and be the Bengals team that we know they can be. If you play Green Bay like that, get out on Detroit early. kind of try to see if you can break their spirit. Do everything we wanted them to do against Jacksonville, another team that coming in at least on paper and on tape looks like we're better than. Do that. Don't make it hard on yourself. Uh, run the football. That is going to be a little difficult this year. I mean, this week too. I don't think we spoke a lot on that. P. Ryan's out, for the COVID
Man,
protocol more
man,
than
just give
likely.
him a carry for crying out loud.
Yeah, Chris Evans has been used like a glorified wide receiver. Would would,
Yeah.
would love to see him get some burn as far as handoffs are concerned, because you still don't know how Joe Mixon's going to respond. After playing a full game where he wasn't fully healthy either. So that's going to be very important to still create some balance. But Detroit is a good springboard game if the Bengals take advantage of the opportunities we have.
Yep, absolutely. I really don't see where the Lions can give us, much, trouble. The only thing I can see is if it's in the fourth quarter, game still close. That's where games, anything can happen. So we want to make sure, into the fourth quarter we up a few scores, so we won't have to, watch another nail biter here.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It said also I didn't like how little we used TB this week. Yeah, we discussed it. You know, um, Tyler Boyd not getting the catch until the third quarter. That's inexcusable. Um, then it's not acceptable. But the problem is when we go empty and we have Tyler Boyd in the slot, teams are getting hit. That it's the quick game. So they're basically running, or they have a linebacker, or they running the safety up and cutting off some of those crossers where the seam in the middle of the field is wide open. We're not taking advantage of that when we're in empty. So I'm hoping that's something they can see on film and something that they can adjust to and try to hit a seam 20-yard seam pass to Uzama or to a Boyd or maybe or even a Auden Tate. So
And we can
uh,
also use some of the Green Bay approach in the way that they move around Devontae Adams and be
to
more
do
creative in where we put Tyler Boyd to maximize his matchups.
Yep, and Uno's as well. Move him around, have this guy move around because, like I said, like I said, I think he's a special player.
And
Um,
thank you for the Uno. See, you were down there, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss it. Now, this is just more of a funny part, but we got to say this before we
yeah,
get out of here. So,
yeah,
I think setting the precedent for some of the things that happen, my man Uno scores, and he doesn't do the damn gritty.
he didn't do the gritty. He did something that I think he was doing like to get the gat or something. He did something else, but he didn't gritty, man. I thought
Oh
that might be
man,
bad omen.
yeah,
He get
yeah,
that
that's a
TD,
bad omen.
we gotta get that gritty going. But no, but man, like they are on the pace to be a dynamic duo, a special duo. I think I read something today that Jamar Chase is on the pace for 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns. So if he gets anything close to that, that's a heck of a start for your career, and it looks
That
like
would
he's trying to back
surpass
up that talk of breaking records.
your 1,208 TD grabs that you had for him.
That's
So
what I thought he could be that good, man. I really did. I really did. As long as he could catch the football, which he had a little trouble with, but that shook off quickly. He worked on it, and we got ourselves a real bona fide number one and a special
I
receiver.
need that gritty though, and I need
Yeah, I need
everybody
that
around
too.
the city to hold him accountable for that also.
Yeah, yeah, the teammates too. Like we need that gritty once you get in the end zone. But before we wrap up, we always have a prediction. Detroit Lions, Cincinnati Bengals. What's your score for Sunday's game?
I don't think we get to 30 points this week either. Not
We
because
ain't got the 30 points all year. So I
not
ain't saying 30 nothing.
not because the Bengals aren't capable, but for whatever reason, play calling, situational football, it hasn't happened. I'm not going that route this week on the road either. I am going to go 27-13 Bengals.
All right, 27-13. That sounds good to me. I'm gonna go with 24. I'm gonna go with 24-10. I think the defense played well. I think the offense do enough, but for some reason, I don't know why we can't get to this 30 mark. But But it is what it is. We do have a good defense. I want us to grab the game by the throat early. Let's get off to a 14-0 start. Let's force Jared Goff to be one dimensional. Have him drop back and throw the ball to receivers that honestly I can't name. I know Cephas. I know Cephas went out. There was a number one receiver. He's hurt. I know I believe they have Amara St. Brown. After that, it gets foggy
I
for,
can't name
for
a
me.
Detroit wide receiver. There's no Marvin Jones. There's no Kenny Galladay. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So we should be able to take care of business there. So I have 24-10. My guy, the Pharaoh, Alex Brantley, he has 27-13. So we are both looking forward to the Bengals going 4-2 this week, and we have to shake off that loss. This is another step to see how if this group has matured to be able to shake off tough losses, put it behind you, and be able to win the next one. I understand it's the 0-5 Lions, but it's a big game moving forward. You want to consider yourself part of the playoffs. These are the games you have to win. And it will be being 4-2 and playing Baltimore is certainly something different, and they have you feeling good about yourself. Like, hey, we're 4-2. Maybe the Ravens will be 5-1. Maybe they'll be 4-2. It'll be a game for division first place, a chance to go 2-0 in the division. So let's win this game, feel good about ourselves going into the following week.
absolutely. And again, Uno, give me that damn gritty.
Yes, yes, you score. We need the gritty. All right, we need the gritty. We got an episode that hit that gritty, because when you score, you're supposed to hit the gritty, man. We want to see it. But no, man, another episode of Life in the Jungle. We appreciate all the comments. Everybody was tuning in. There was a lot of people tuning in. We appreciate you. We're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna keep it coming. We'll let you know. We try to get them in on Mondays, but sometimes we have to go on Tuesdays because we understand Monday Night Football conflicts things. So we'll start trying to iron that out to see what day we'll be coming on regularly. But uh,
And we got a few things in the works too, improving the optics and some of the things that we're looking at doing for Life in the Jungle. So stay tuned throughout the rest of the week. We also have content and little polls and questions and content that we keep coming. So check us out.
yes, absolutely, man. But hey, it's Coach Cam. I got my boy the Pharaoh, Alex Brantley with me. Make sure you tune in to Time Out with Coach Cam. Make sure you tune in with factual opinions as well. Hey, who they? We out.